Hey you guys, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 fabulous Christmas centerpiece DIY ideas to inspire you to create something beautiful for your home decorating this Christmas season. I'm super excited because centerpieces is one of my favorite things to do, and I know you love to watch centerpieces. So here I'm going to give you not 1, not 3, but 5 beautiful centerpiece DIY ideas for Christmas. Well, before we get started, I would like to ask you that if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, don't forget to turn the notification bell on because you will not want to miss what's coming up next for the Christmas season 2025. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends on the Facebook, on the Instagram, and on the WhatsApp. Why? Well, because it is free and it really helps this channel. Are you guys ready to get started with these beautiful Christmas DIY centerpieces? Let's get started. All right, you guys, so we're gonna get started with our very first Christmas centerpiece DIY. And for this centerpiece, I'm going to use an LED candle, of course. I'm gonna use a hurricane. And then also I wanna point out my tools right here, which is 2 blocks of foam. This is the really heavy duty foam. And then also we're gonna use some garland, and they're all stacked to one of these dollar store containers. Remember that I'm always telling you that in order to create beautiful centerpieces, you have to really watch the price, and the way you can cut corners right here is by your mechanics. All of this is going to be hidden, so we won't be able to see most of it. So that's why you want to save some money on that. But I'm gonna get rid of this real quick, and I'm gonna bring in my greenery that I'm going to use. I'm gonna use some of this beautiful pine that I got at, I believe this is from Walmart or Hobby Lobby. No, this is from Hobby Lobby, if I'm not mistaken. So you can find it. I'm gonna cut all of it.
I believe Hobby Lobby.
Okay, Jameson does agree that it's from Hobby Lobby. And I'm gonna cut it all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring in my hurricane because I wanna know where it is that I cannot poke through. So I'm gonna start right here, and I'm gonna start inserting that. What I like about this greenery is because it has a lot of cuts. And the way we measure is by seeing where it is that we want to cut. Like I'm gonna cut one right here. I'm gonna cut one right here. And we're going to leave this one a little bit longer. And so remember that what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. And so the way we do that is we just start inserting all throughout with our foam. Now this foam, you have to be really careful because it's really, really sturdy. And then we're gonna go over to this side, and we're going to continue filling into this side. Now also, I always recommend to have a lazy Susan because it really does come in handy when it comes down to balancing your centerpiece. Remember, it's all about the balance, and the way we balance our centerpieces is by, well, spinning around and repeating that what happens on the right happens on the left. Now, I want to say that I'm having so much fun, you guys, creating all of these beautiful Christmas DIYs for you, and I really hope that you have been enjoying this Christmas season so far. I'm having a blast. So is Jameson. Wouldn't you agree, Jameson?
Oh yeah.
We're having a whole bunch. We've been busy for sure, but we've enjoyed it. It's almost coming to an end, which makes me sad. We started in May, and now this is almost the end of October, and so we are coming to an end. But we're saving the best for last for sure. So, and then also want to thank to all of the people that have joined the channel as a member. Thank you so much for your support. I've been putting pictures of everyone up front on the video so that you know that those are our brand new members every week. And then also want to thank everybody that has come to our Facebook private page, Ramon at Home Masterclass. There we teach wreath making in detail. So if you want to learn how to create beautiful wreaths, then come and join our masterclass on Facebook. It's a Ramon at Home Masterclass. You can find it on my Facebook page. But then I'm going to keep inserting right here. And look how this is changing the texture of our centerpiece. Once again, be sure to give it a little bit of a spin. And if you see, I'm inserting this kind of radiating from my container. That's why it's so important to have the container and it is changing the texture. Now I'm going to add a few long ones like this. So be sure to fluff it, and I'm gonna add it right here because I wanna make it more of a long, look at this. Just by inserting this right here is going to make it a little bit longer. And so we want to repeat the same thing over on the side. You can fluff it like this and then insert, so that way it is going to Look at that. That just made this centerpiece a lot longer than it was supposed to be. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring some ribbon, and I also love this ribbon that we went ahead and pre-cut. We used this ribbon last year on one of our Christmas trees, and I love it because it has a holly and it has some beautiful berries. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. So I'm going to do one single loop bow. I'm gonna have two tails, and then I'm gonna grab two bristles right here. I'm gonna start on this side, and I want the loop to go towards the candle. I'm gonna give it a spin real quick. We're going to only add 4. So we want to make sure that we have at least 4 strips of this beautiful ribbon. And once again, those tails, you don't want them to be so big. So what we're going to do is we're gonna create little loops like this, and then you want to twist this guy right here. And once again, what happens on the right happens on the left. And we're going to go ahead and insert this guy right here. And this one, it's a little bit long, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of a cut. And if you have been enjoying this season, be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know which out of all the projects we've done so far has been your favorite. All right, you see how those two just add a lot of texture to our centerpiece. I'm going to do another one, so I'm gonna grab this ribbon and pinch, do a little tail. This ribbon, you guys, is from Home Goods. I'm gonna go over to this side. I'm gonna do a catty corner. And I love buying ribbon at Home Goods or Marshalls because it usually is stuff that you will not find anywhere else. And that's the kind of bargain I like, to be able to find those beautiful, unique pieces throughout, and then put them throughout your home decor. Look how pretty that is. Just one single loop. Once again, we don't want, and then I want to explain a little bit about these little clips right here. They came with some poinsettias, and I was about to pitch him, and Jameson's like, don't pitch him, save him for something. And look, Jameson, they just came in handy for saving my ribbon. So good catch, good catch. All right, so I'm gonna do one more. We're gonna do a little tail. We're always trying to save as much as we can the products that we buy, and one way of doing that is, like I always tell you, try and figure out how else can you use those items that you buy, right? In that case, I was about to pitch it, and Jameson's like, well, there's gotta be a way that we can reuse that, because they're pretty heavy duty. So, all right, so I'm gonna start right here. I'm gonna dovetail this guy real quick. See, if you put the loops towards the candle, and then you just do the tails going out, look how pretty that is. And all we need is 4, because all we need is a little touch of it. We don't want a whole bunch of ribbon. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring my ornaments, and for that, I have gathered them on this guy right here. I'm gonna move my hot glue gun over to this side. And for this particular ornament, for this particular centerpiece, I chose this color scheme of greens and reds. And I also have pre-made these hooks, have shown you guys how to do these hooks before. So what you want to do is grab an ornament, maybe a red, actually, you know what, maybe a red and a green. And then what we're going to do is we're gonna grab it like a pencil, and we're gonna go right here on our foam, and we're going to insert. And that way you're gonna kind of create a cluster. And remember that what happens on the right happens on the left. So I'm gonna immediately go on the left. I'm gonna grab another one, and I'm gonna try and do the same types of ornaments. And it doesn't really matter if you have them equally or not. What we want is the variety of it. They might be one of each or whatever it is that you're doing, but just remember to do it catty corner and insert like this. Look how cute that is. So we're gonna pack it with ornaments. So now I'm gonna grab this single one. I only have one, and apparently I have pre-wired this one, so let me take that wire out. I love this polka dot one, but I only have one. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab this ornament and add it to my little clip. This is a 20 gauge wire. And look, you guys, by adding this ornament right here by itself, it's going to create that pop of white. And so now I'm gonna grab another clip. And once again, they sell these clips, Jameson, at Hobby Lobby. They are called, no, it's like S-pins, and they have them at Hobby Lobby for sure. But also, if you have wire like I do, then you can just create them. Look at this. See how it's filling out my centerpiece with ornaments, and I just absolutely love this look. So I'm gonna add this green right here, and then also this beautiful one right here. And I'm gonna go over on this side and I'm going to insert right here, like this. And it's all about the ornaments. Okay, let me do a few more. And I cannot wait, you guys, for you to see what is coming next. We're working really hard to bring you the best November. So we are really saving the best for last. I really hope that you have been enjoying so far this season, but you will not want to miss what's coming next because it's just getting started. November is literally, for me, November is like the beginning of the Christmas season. I know we've been doing Christmas for quite a while now, but at least for me, November is the beginning, the official beginning. It's when Mariah defrosts, and then we can really start jingle belling and all of the things, right? So I'm gonna add this one right here. And I think this will be plenty ornaments. So we're gonna put this to the side. That's what it looks like so far. I love the way this looks. And look, I always like to keep all of my tools organized as much as I can. And so now what I'm going to is I'm gonna bring my bucket of picks. And I'm gonna start, I have some red and I have some gold, but I think I'm gonna start with the red. I move that bucket out. And what I'm going to is I'm gonna grab some of these. This is a red eucalyptus from David Christopher's. And I'm gonna start right here. Remember, what happens on the right immediately happens on the left. So I'm gonna spin it around and I'm gonna go right here. And then also what goes up must come down. So I'm gonna start over on this side. I'm gonna add one right here. As you guys can see, as I spin it around, and it, of course, immediately I must go on this side and make sure that they go on the foam. So that way they're not coming out anytime soon. Then I'm gonna add another one over on this side right here, making sure that I go through the foam. And then immediately I'm gonna go over to this side and I'm going to do the exact same thing over on this side right here, making sure that I poke to that foam. So now I have this gorgeous fern, also from David Christopher's. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a cut and I'm going to go right here. So this is very festive. So I'm gonna go over on this side, I'm gonna spin around, and this is the way that we balance, right? By spinning around. So I'm gonna go over to this side and I'm gonna start intertwining them right here. And so now I'm gonna go over to the top. You have to know how many items you're working with, so that way you know how to distribute evenly. So I'm gonna go over here to the top, maybe right here. And so now I'm gonna spin around to the other side and I'm gonna go over to the other side. I'm gonna do a long one because I feel like I'm gonna have to reach in there, like right here. And then also be sure to give them a spin. I'm always telling you to give them a spin so that way they show better. And so now what I'm going to is I'm gonna do the centers of it, and for that I'm gonna cut a little bit shorter so that I can do the center part of it right here. We want balance all throughout. And then I'm going to do yet another one over on this side right here. So this is what the centerpiece is looking like. I'm gonna give it a fluff, put it together, and give you a close-up. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so here is this beautiful, fun, and whimsical Christmas centerpiece DIY. It is filled with fun ornaments and beautiful ribbons, picks, and of course greeneries. I love the way that this turned out, the shape. It is elongated. If you have a longer table, you can take this out if you have a round table, but it would be the same. And I just love the color combination, which is very traditional. A little touch of whimsy with these beautiful ornaments right here, like this polka dot, and then of course the red and the green. I love the way this turned out, but there's more coming, so please stay tuned. All right, so for this next Christmas DIY, what I want to do is I'm going to do a candlestick. Who doesn't like a candlestick decorated for Christmas, right? So I have these beautiful mercury glass candles that came from Ross, apparently for $7.99. And then at the dollar store, they sell this type of foam, you guys. This is perfect for this type of arrangement. As you guys can see, if I flip it upside down, it fits perfectly on my candlestick. And actually, I could just press it down like that and look, it'll stick. But to be double secure, what I want to do is I'm gonna grab some of my florist see-through tape and I'm just gonna go around my candle one time just to make sure that it's going to stay where I want it. Actually, let me make sure that, there you go. Very tightly, so that way it's not going to come crashing down. I'm gonna grab my scissors over here. And you can find this clear see-through tape at any local craft place. It is a florist product. This is what we use in the industry. We're doing fresh flowers because it does, it has a type of glue that allows you to glue on wet foam. So this is basically for wet foam. So there's that. So what we're going to do is we're gonna bring, I'm gonna put this over here actually. Our candle, I'm gonna share with you that we're gonna set the candle right there. We're gonna turn it on, but for this purpose, I'm gonna take off the candle first. We'll bring her back in the picture in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring some of my greeneries, and thumbs up for Jameson who came up with this cloth idea. So look, you don't hear it anymore. So that's what I'm gonna be putting my tools from now on. I'm gonna need them right now. All right, so let's get started. So what we're going to do is I have these cute little picks that came from Hobby Lobby, and they come like this. They come this stem right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut them a little bit shorter, and I'm just gonna go ahead and insert one right here. I think I have 4 of them, and look how long they are. So you do have to make sure that you cut them because we want to insert them as far into the foam as we can, like that. And then we're gonna give it a spin, and remember what happens on the right happens on the left, and then we give a little bit of a spin and we repeat our process one more time. We're gonna cut one more time, and then we're going to insert this guy right here. And you guys, look how these picks already have all of the product that you need. We're only going to be adding a few more things to make this a gorgeous candlestick. This can be down for an entryway table. Can you imagine like 4 of them on a tablescape? If you do 4 repeated on going down the table, it will be so beautiful. All right, so we're going to add then, I'm gonna exchange for this bucket right here. And I have some of these beautiful greeneries that I used on the owl wreath. Well, I have now some leftover greeneries. And so what I'm going to is I'm gonna cut a little bit short. And oh look, the paper just unraveled. So that's good, perfect. So I'm gonna cut a little bit short, and I'm gonna go like this, one like that. And I know I have a few, so then I'm gonna bring another one, and I'm gonna cut, and then I'm going to go one step down to have 2 in the same spot. And then what we're going to do is we're gonna grab another one, and we're only going to use 3. Remember, we work with sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. And this is what I mean by having a set of 3, because you can do 1 on one side, and then because we have to, whatever happens on the left happens on the right. And remember, they don't have to be the same. Like, you don't have to put yet another one over here, because what we'll do is we'll use another type of greenery. Let's see, which one do I like? I like this one right here. So we're gonna use this type of greenery, and then we're going to add this guy right here to have our second one. So now we have 2 and 2, but look how these right here, they're different. Well, here's the next tip I'm gonna give you. So now remember, sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. So now we have 2 on this side, 2 on this side. So now to make it uneven, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert another one of these flat cedars right here. Actually, this is not a flat cedar, this is a spruce. Like that. So now we have 1, 2, 3, now we have 2. And that's how we have to work with our container. Now here's another tip. You see this is really fat and fluffy, and I just absolutely love it. Well, what we're going to is we're gonna make 2 out of it, because these are too long for this particular centerpiece. So what you can do is cut them short like this. And so I'm going to insert first of all one right here, really close to my container. And then what you need to do is either with your scissors or just pull them out with your wire cutters. What we need to do is we need to get some of that wire exposed. And don't be afraid. I'm always telling you guys, do not be afraid to cut your stems. And then look at that. So that filled in. So now I'm gonna grab another one. I'm gonna cut this in half, because you already paid for it. So might as well just make the best use that you can out of it. I'm gonna go right here. Then I'm gonna, some of them you can just pull, but it's easier with the scissors. Look at that, they just fall right out, and that exposes that wire part. And so that's what we're going to do right here, like that. And let's see, what else do I want? I think I want some of these eucalyptus, and I'm gonna cut them a little bit shorter. And look, you guys, I have those bristles everywhere. You guys, I wish that you could see our house. There is glitter. In places glitter should never be allowed to be. Let me just put it that way. It's on the floor, it's on the carpets, it is on the toilet, it is everywhere, and it's just not going away. I know it's not gonna wait till probably March, because it does take a few times cleaning for you to be able to get rid of all of that glitter when you use that much glitter like we do here at Ramon at home. All right, so now I'm filling in with just a few of these. You know, I have another one of these. Where do I want it? I just love this frosted eucalyptus. I'm gonna put this guy right here, like that. We're just gonna keep adding to it. I'm gonna add another, if I have another one, which I don't, it's gonna put on the other side, but I do have more of these eucalyptus. We're just gonna keep adding some. Remember, what goes up must come down. So if you put some of the same element right here, make sure you put it up here. Then we're gonna spin around, then we're gonna add another one spilling down. So easy, right? All right, so I'm gonna put it right here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna get some berries. I'm gonna bring my other box back in. I'm gonna get some of these white berries that I just absolutely love to really give it that frosty feel, because I love berries in the holiday, whether they are red berries or white berries. And you know, I put all my stuff. This is how it usually works. Look how I'm using my little pad that is for my wire cutters, and I put it to, oh my gosh. All right, so now we're talking. I'm gonna use two like this, and remember, what goes up must come down. So some on the top, some on the bottom. Spin a little bit, and we're going to do that famous triangle that I love so much. One right here, one on the bottom, because I have 6. So instead of polka dotting them around, what I went ahead and did is I did a triangle, and I'll share with you real quick. Let me insert the last one over here, like this, and then I'm gonna put yet another one down on the bottom. Over on this side. So I have, the triangle goes like this. I don't know if you guys can see, but berry, berry, berry. And once again, what goes up must come down, so you make them spill down. All right, so now here's the fun part. I am going to grab this gorgeous ribbon that is from, I'm gonna put this guy to the side so you can see it. But this ribbon is a 0.75 of an inch. It is not even an inch, and I love it because this is perfect for this. So what we're going to do is we're gonna give it a long tail. And Jameson, will you pass me? Do we have that? It's just right there. Look, up the ribbon holder, right there. You guys, give it up for Jameson, who is our helper and has been doing such a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Sometimes it just comes in handy to have this, because you don't have to make sure that you unravel it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna make some really pretty big loopy bows. And like I said, this is a 0.75 of an inch, and you wanna make sure that you go like this. This ribbon, you guys, has got a lame red back, and it's just so cute. I also love it. I'm gonna do 2, 4, I'm gonna do one more, and then some long tails. We're gonna do, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cut it. All right, there you go. That is a problem with this thin ribbon, because it really ravels really bad. But look how loopy of a bow this is. And so now I'm gonna grab a wire from over here, and I'm going to wrap this together like this. And I'm going to cut right here. So we're gonna be left with this super cute bow. Look how absolutely cute this is. And a long tail right here. Be sure to fluff that. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab one of our S hooks that I'm always telling you guys you can make with wire. And I'm gonna put it right here through it, like this. And then I'm gonna use this to insert somewhere onto my arrangement. And I think it's going to be right about here. So we're gonna insert this in, making sure that goes in, and then we just give it a cute little fluff like this. And I'm gonna cut at an angle, because it's so small, I don't really want to dovetail, it's just so tiny. We're gonna cut at an angle like that. We're gonna bring this tail a little bit down, like that, so it goes down. I'm gonna give this a quick fluff, and I'll share with you at the end result. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so now all there is left to do is to turn our candle on with our little remote, and check this out. Isn't this just absolutely whimsical and super cute? As I said, this is perfect for an entryway table, a mantelpiece, and even a set of 3 or 4 down a table for a tablescape. You too can create a super gorgeous and cute, so simple to make arrangement on a candlestick. And the cool thing about it is that everybody most everybody has some candlesticks laying around the house. So all you have to do is grab some leftover from the dollar store, add some leftover picks and stems that you may have laying around, a cute little bow and a candle, and you got yourself a super cute DIY for Christmas. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And now I'm gonna get ready for our next DIY. Keep watching. We all know that to get a beautiful centerpiece, we first have to prep our container. And I selected this gorgeous bark container and some greenery. Now, I thought I was gonna use this greenery. I'm not, but it is good to know that we have it. So I'm just gonna put it on the side just in case. The other thing is I went ahead and added all of my foam into the container. It is filled to the brim. And so now what we're doing is basically just putting some moss at the edge of our container to cover all of those mechanics. We don't wanna see unsightly pieces of foam, especially if we do like closer close-ups to it. If you're gonna put it on a coffee table and people are looking at it from really close, you don't want them to see all of that foam. So the way we do that is we cover our container and it's going to look like this. We're going to put this to the side. Okay, so step number one is going to be to prep our Santa. This Santa is going to be our centerpiece on our arrangement, and I want it to be kind of cattywampus like this. I want it to have some character, right? But how am I gonna make it stay? Well, here is your first trick. You're going to get yourself some skewers. These particular skewers right here are florist stakes. And they're pretty long, so I don't need them to be that long. So I'm gonna grab my wire cutters and I'm gonna cut them in half. So I think I'm only gonna use one because like I said, I don't need them to be that long. So now that we have 2 out of 1, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get my florist tape ready. This florist tape is designed for floral design. It has a really good grip for when you're working with wet foam. And this is something that we talked about in our very first video series, the fundamentals of floral design, that we needed to know our tools. You guys, I cannot find the edge of it. This is another thing I'm always telling you, when you cut the tape, be sure you get, you fold that little tip back. I found it, here it is. I always like to fold it back like so that way there's a flap and you're not gonna lose it. So I'm gonna cut right here. I'm gonna cut that little flap, and I'm gonna cut me 2 strips of tape. I'm gonna cut a long one like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut these in 2 like this. I'm gonna have them 2 of my fingers, and I'm going to select where I want those skewers to be. So I'm gonna put one on the foot, and so basically you just grab your tape and you are around the foot and you're going to hold that skewer into place like this. Once that tape is on, trust me when I tell you, it's not going anywhere, because like I told you on our video, this is a florist product and it is specifically designed for wet floral foam, which means it's going to really hold to our Santa. Right, so now I'm gonna do the second skewer like this. So this is basically what's going to look like. It's gonna look like it has some fangs on it. So now I'm gonna bring my centerpiece. I'm gonna grab my cute little skewers with my Santa, and I'm going to push them into my foam like this. And then I'm gonna go back down. And so that is going to hold our Santa into place like that. Now I could do a third one if I wanted to. Let me see, I'm gonna cut another one. I'm gonna cut the little wire that comes with it. And what you could do is basically put a fulcrum on the back like this, because you're not gonna see it anyways. Then I'm gonna do one on the front as well. And so now our Santa is plenty secure, is going to stay in place, and is not going anywhere. And I love the fact that it's at the side, kind of looking towards the side and not looking forward. I always tell you that when we're doing floral design, that I like when the flowers and everything just falls not facing forward. I think it looks more elegant. That's the way that I was taught, and so that's the way we're going to do it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my greenery. This greenery, you guys, this whole box of greenery, believe it or not, came from a wreath. Every time that I take a wreath apart, and if it has really good greenery like this, I always take it and secure it on a little box because it's good greenery. So we're going to make sure that we save it for future projects. All right, so we're gonna start right here. This is our centerpiece. So we're going to start right next to it. This is the middle, this is the core. Remember, everything that happens on the right happens on the left. And so we're going to start inserting this. Now, when you insert your foliage, remember that give them a little bit of a spin. Don't put them flat, because that's what's going to give him even more character. Look at that. It looks like it's growing in nature. So we're gonna start with a set of 3 over on this side. Then we're gonna move over to this side, and we're going to continue to elongate the shape of our centerpiece, like so. And I'm gonna go over to this side right here, making sure that goes into the foam. And so see how everything's radiating? So I'm gonna go and do one more right here, because it's getting closer to my Santa. And then I'm going to go over to this side behind the Santa, so it starts to radiate. And I need one in front of my Santa as well, so I'm gonna put one right here. Look how cute. Let me spin it around. Yes, this is looking good. So it's going to look like so. We're gonna get one right at the very tip to elongate our shape. And then I'm going to go over to this side and elongate the shape on the left. Look how cute. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're gonna grab a different color, and we're gonna start inserting right here. And remember to give him a spin, okay? Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left, and our Santa is looking absolutely fabulous in all of this greenery. He just looks like he's sitting in a forest of pine, and I just absolutely die for it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cute little bow. So I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to give my ribbon a fresh cut. I want this bow to be small. I don't want anything extravagant. I just want to be in front of my Santa. So I'm going to do about a 4-inch loop. I'm going to bring my ribbon up. I'm going to pinch and gather, and then I'm going to twist to make sure that I have all of those beautiful stripes, which is like our theme, facing forward. I'm going to do maybe a 3-loop bow. Let me see. Yeah, I think a 3-loop bow will do. And then I'm going to cut my ribbon right here with a longer tail. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wire, and I'm going to wire my ribbon together. Remember to pull really tight, so that way you are left with some beautiful loops. And at this point, that's when we want to separate all of our loops and tails, and you're left with something somewhat like this. Now, because I know that I just work with some stems, you guys, like I'm always telling you to save your stems from florals, because that's what's gonna help us attach to our arrangement. So I'm gonna cut a little bit of an old stem. I want you to keep some, but I don't want you to keep all of them. How about that? Because if you're anything like me, that'll be your excuse to have like a whole bucket full of them. You don't need that many. So I'm gonna grab a tiny little skewer, part of my floral, and I'm gonna swirl that wire very tightly onto it, like this. And so that's gonna give us a stem, and I'm going to attach my bow right here in front of Santa, like this. And I'm gonna pull that tail down. And I'm going to do the exact same thing one more time. So I'm gonna give myself, let me remove this centerpiece right here so that you can see. You guys, it drives me nuts to work when it's not clean like this, so I always have to wipe down my table. This is just something that I learned when I was working as a florist, and it's just so much more comfortable to work in a clean environment. So I'm gonna give myself a loop. I'm going to go up like this, and then I'm going to twist one more time and go up like this. We're gonna swirl, and then we're going to do it one more time. Remember, it's a 3-loop bow, and then we're going to twist. So that's gonna leave us with these 3 loops, 2 tails. Now we're going to grab our wire right here, and we're going to wire this together. Once you wire together really tight, that's when the fluffing happens. So we're gonna have all of these beautiful loops. We can twist our ribbon like this, and now we're going to cut at an angle, and we're going to go digging for that stem that I'm always telling you to save, and I'm gonna cut a little piece of it right here. And so now we're going to grab our stem, we're going to swirl that wire to attach our ribbon bow on to my stem, and look at that. That gave us that right here. I'm gonna bring my centerpiece back into the play, and I'm going to attach this on the very back of my center, because remember, what happens on the right happens on the left, and what goes up must come down. So that's gonna give us that bow. Look how cute. Absolutely adorable. It is just a little touch of ribbon. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is ornaments, and I'm going to show you even more tricks in order to create your centerpiece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a 22 gauge wire, and that is a very thick one, you guys. So we're gonna grab just one. Look how heavy it is. It really is super heavy, and my ex-boss used to say that there is not a problem in the world that you cannot fix with a 22 gauge wire. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna cut it in half, and then we're gonna go in and cut them in half one more time, and that's gonna give us 4 little wires. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a loop on the very top, kind of like a candy cane. I'm gonna close it, but before I close it, I'm going to bring an ornament. So now that I have my candy cane, it's totally closed, I'm gonna bring my centerpiece back in. And I'm gonna start with one of these ornaments right here. So now I'm gonna use that wire to insert going down into my foam. And see, that's going to hold that ornament into place. It is going to make it super easy. And what did we say? That what happens on the right happens on the left, right? So I'm going to grab another wire, give it that S hook shape, and we're going to grab another of the same ornament. We're gonna go through right here. Oh my goodness. And then we're going to close it, and these are glass, so that would not be good. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna go over to this side, and we're going to insert our ornament into our foam. That's gonna hold it into place. We're gonna do the same with these red ones. Our theme is this candy cane red, so we're going to go ahead and grab our wire and make an S hook. Now these ones are plastic, so they can fall if they want. And so now I'm going to grab this hook right here, and I'm gonna go over here to this side and poke into my foam. I'm gonna grab yet another one. And this is a beautiful centerpiece that would be perfect on a coffee table, on an island in the kitchen, and an entryway table. It is just absolutely perfect. Now remember, we work in catty corners. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. And the best way to do it is to spin it around and then to give yourself the same, basically the same placement. Look how cute this is looking, absolutely gorgeous. All right, I'm going to grab some of these S wires that I had already pre-cut because that's just what I do. I'm always working in the office, you guys, and always pre-cutting and all those things. So now for this particular one, I have this silver one and I have this smaller one, and it's a red one. So now we close our hook like this. We're gonna grab it like a pencil, spin it around, grab it like a pencil, and I'm going to bring it maybe over here. Now remember, this is a longer one because I want them to stay up, further up, so then the wire needs to be longer. We're creating these clusters of ornaments. Look at that. How fun is this cluster right here? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create even another cluster right in here to kind of fill in. So now I'm gonna start with a small one, and I'm going to bring in another one of the silver ones and close that hook. And so remember, we're gonna continue to create these clusters. So now I'm gonna go over on this side, inserting catty corner or sideways. I'm gonna go all the way in. Don't pull too tight, because if you pull too tight, you're gonna snap those ornaments out of place. So like that. Look how cute. Okay, so I have one more that it's a silver one, and you know what, might as well just use it because it's already came out of the package. So I'm going to grab my S hook, I'm going to spin it around, and I feel like I need one right here in front of Santa. Like this. Super simple, super easy. I love the bow right here, but you know what? I'm gonna get me a few more tails of ribbon to have them pop out of this side, a few more things, and I'll be right back to share with you a next step. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so I'm really loving the way this is looking with all of these gorgeous silver and red ornaments and the flocked greenery. However, you know what I think would make this arrangement look so elegant? White orchids. Why? Because why not? I love using fresh flowers, and this is a perfect arrangement that you could add a few white roses picked on water throughout the arrangement. And that would look absolutely beautiful. Can you imagine all these white roses in it? That would be so pretty. But because we don't have any white roses, but I'm just giving you the idea, I'm going to add some beautiful white orchids that I have. So I'm gonna start right here, and you'll see what that'll do. That just adds so much elegance to the arrangement. And I'm going to go ahead and spin around. Actually, I'm gonna add one right here on the back. So I'm gonna start spinning. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So I'm going to cut this one a little bit shorter because I feel like it's too tall. Now I'm gonna give you another secret. So if you don't have a pick machine and if you want to insert that is really, really strong, what you can do is grab your wire cutters and you're going to go around the plastic stem on the outer edge of your silk flower, cutting a little ring around it, and then what you want to do is spin it around and around and around until you are left with the bare wire that this floral comes with. So that's going to be left like that, and look how much easier it'll be to insert. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of curvature. Remember, orchids grow on a curvature. So I'm gonna go right here and add my orchid. And then the one that I cut, the single two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it right here on the front, spilling forward like that. Seeing how they're radiating from Santa, they have to start radiating. Remember that that's how nature grows. What we're trying to mimic is the way that nature grows, and that's the way it does. If you look at a palm tree or any kind of a tree, it has a main trunk and then it starts doing this motion from the palm tree. The best example is a palm tree. So if you want to see how nature grows, then I really do recommend you look at a palm tree. Okay, so now I'm going to cut right here. So that way we have these cute orchids. Let me see, where do I need another orchid? I feel like we need one coming out of this way, like that. Look how absolutely gorgeous this is. And then I'm going to add one right on this side, kind of spilling out from the corner. And I have one long one that I can cut into two. And I do think that we need one coming out here. So this one is going to be cut into two. The way we do it is we go at the joint and then we cut. And so now we have two. It has to end with a flower. I love orchids, and I used to love to work with fresh orchids, especially when we did corsages. I thought they were so elegant. So I'm gonna go one right here, let them spill forward, and then I feel like this side also needs one coming out of the bow. Actually, no, coming out of this corner right here. Let me see, where do I want it? I want it to radiate from the center, so I'm gonna go from here. All right, so let me give this a quick flap and I'll be right back to give you a close-up. Keep watching. All right, you guys, so we are back, and this is what our centerpiece is looking like so far. I am obsessed with the Santa and the way that everything's radiating from it. Now this, I think it would be perfect to use some fresh flowers in. If you have some water picks and you pick some white roses, can you imagine some actual white roses just tucked in on this centerpiece? It would be so gorgeous. Also some beautiful white mums. But since we don't have any fresh flowers, I do have some white orchids that I selected from my stash. And so what we're going to do is we're gonna start radiating from the Santa. Remember, he is our core and everything radiates from it. So we're going to go right here. We're gonna start right here. And then we're going to go ahead and remember, what goes up must come down. So we're gonna give it a little bit of a curvature, and we're going to come down like that. But I want to make sure that I do see those orchids. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around. And so now I'm going to come from here. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my front and I'm going to do a cross on my core. And so that's where I'm gonna start to insert in my cross, like this. See how they spin, they spill forward? That's what I want. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down. So immediately I go over to the other side and then I bring them forward. So I'm gonna go right here to my center and I'm going to insert yet another orchid. And then I'm going to come over to this side and insert another orchid right on this side. Now I have a last one, you guys, and I want to show you a trick. When you have a stem like this, but you don't have a pick machine, what you can do is grab your wire cutters and then you're gonna cut around the perimeter of this plastic stem. Well, there goes that one. That's gonna have to be tucked in over here, but I will show you with this one right here because I do want you to know this trick. So I'm gonna do a clean cut on it. So I'm going to go ahead and spin around without cutting it, because if you spin too hard, then of course you're gonna cut into the wire. So we're going to like basically just go like that, and then we're going to spin around, spin around, spin around, and as you spin around, you pull forward. And then you're gonna continue to spin around. And once you spin all the way out, what you can do is just pull it out and you're going to be left with an exposed stem. So that way you don't need a pick. That's going to make your insertion way easier onto your arrangement. So we're gonna put it right there. All right, you guys, so this is what our centerpiece is looking like, and I absolutely love it, love it, love it. However, I do think that perhaps some white flowers would be perfect. And you know what I would do if I had them right now, which I will share with you later on in a video. There's some water picks that you can pick fresh flowers in, and they are perfect to insert some perhaps some red roses, some white roses. I would do white roses or even white moms. I think it'd be just absolutely perfect. But since we don't have the picks and we don't have the fresh flowers, I do have some white orchids. And for that, I brought my pick machine so that we can insert very easily. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a pick on our orchid so that we have a clean insertion. Now remember, he is the core and everything is going to radiate from him, as I might have just explained to you. And I'm gonna start right here. Actually, I'm gonna start right here to the side. I do want those orchids to show, and I want to make sure that they look absolutely gorgeous on my arrangement. So I'm gonna grab another one and I'm going to insert right here. Remember that what goes up must come down. So now I'm going to give it a little bit of a spin, and because he is the core, think of creating an X where he stands, and everything from the middle point of the X has to radiate to where those stems go to. So here we go. We're gonna add another one right here. I'm gonna cut this guy real quick, and then I'm going to give it a little pick. And so now what I'm going to do, let me see, what do I need to do? I'm going to put one right about here, and then give it a little bit of a bend down like that. I'm gonna grab another one, and remember that what goes up must come down, and what happens on the right happens on the left. So immediately I'm gonna go over to this side and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'll spin around so that you guys can see how there's that vertical line. So that's what you want to have when you're creating these arrangements. The easiest way to explain it is if you do that cross and then everything radiates from the middle. That's when you're going to have a beautiful X and a beautiful, you know what, this one I need to cut because I need the stem. I need a stem to put my pick. But don't pitch this flower because we might be able to use it, okay? So now right here, because this one went to the left, now I need one to come over to this side. So it continues to do the radiating. And I'm going to spin around. I'm gonna add a pick. This one also has a flower in the middle, so we're gonna cut it. And we're going to pick this flower. So now this particular one is going to go right here. Look at that. See how it starts to radiate? So now we have to work ourselves out. So I'm going to grab this guy right here, already has a pick, and I'm going to put it right here on the top, like so. Look how cute, absolutely cute. And so now this one, which also has a flower, we're gonna cut, and I'm going to put a pick. See how they gives us a stem and then the flowers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this guy right here all the way to the end over on this side. Now these particular ones that we have, you guys, don't pitch them like I say. What you could use is pick it like this, or I'm going to show you yet another trick because I am full of tricks. But for that, I need to find a stem. So let me find a good stem, which is going to be this one. Let me see, does this one have a wire inside? All you have to do is cut around, cut around, cut around. If it has a wire, it's going to be exposed like that. So wing. So okay, so we're gonna cut a little bit of it like this. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to bind these two together like this. And then we're going to pick them together. So we're going to go like this. You're gonna put your pick machine. If you don't have a pick machine, it really is an investment, so I really do recommend it. And of course I got stuck, no problem. So now that we have our pick on it, what we're going to do is we're going to find a spot and we're gonna start inserting all of those flowers because we don't wanna pitch them, right? We already paid for them, so might as well just go ahead and look, a single flower. It can be put maybe right here, right by this ornament, like that. And you want them to hang out from our arrangement. All right, so I'm gonna add the last one over on this side. And here is the end result of this festive, beautiful centerpiece for an entryway table, for a coffee table, for a kitchen island. And you guys, that little touch of ribbon with the stripes, it makes it a little more fun, but the orchids make it so elegant and so beautiful. I really hope that you learned a few things from this particular DIY, and I cannot wait to come back with even more DIYs. Do you guys remember this beautiful traditional centerpiece I shared with you how to create a few weeks ago? Well, the tutorial is going to be down below so you can check it out. However, for this part of the video, what I want to do is I want to share with you how you can upgrade your centerpiece just by changing a few elements on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this red stuff out, like all of these picks right here. We're going to strip all of that color that we don't want. And for me, it's going to be the red. This was a very traditional centerpiece. Oh, here's another one over here that I want to revamp to go with this look right here. So I'm gonna share with you how if you construct a beautiful centerpiece just by switching a few things, you will be able to create yet another one. So the first thing I'm going to do is take all of these bows out. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop them on the floor. I'll go through them later to see what we can salvage because I'm always trying to salvage some of these materials. Also, I'm gonna take out this beautiful bejeweled ribbon that we put as an accent ribbon on it. And I have these beautiful gold poinsettias that I also add to it that were sugared. I'm gonna take those out. I'm gonna put them right here. Let me see, what else do I need to take? This ribbon right here. So we're going to basically just go all the way down to the basics, which is the greenery and the berries. And if you guys have not seen how I made this centerpiece, like I said, it's going to be linked down below. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna get rid of all of this red right here. I have this Santa that I put on the lantern. So what I want to do is use him as my focal point. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this florist tape that is see-through, and here's what I'm going to do. I want you to cut the top of it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut little strips. And remember, this is a florist tape, and it is meant for like wet florals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little wooden stake. I'm gonna grab my Santa, and I'm going to find a place where I want to put that wooden stake. I'm gonna add two of them. So I'm gonna do one on the left and one on the right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go around with this tape on the Santa ones to secure that particular stake. And then once I go on the second round, I'm going to add another stake pointing down. And then that one's going to stay right there. I wanna go one more time just to make sure that everything's secured. Once I went down twice, I'm gonna cut right here. And I always like to tell you guys to go ahead and flip that fold so that way you don't lose your fold right here. So now that I have my stake secure right here, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab those two stakes, I'm gonna push them down into the foam, and look at that. My Santa is going to stand right there. Make sure you put those stakes down like this. And now he's gonna stay right there. Perfect, right? So that's gonna be our focal point. So now what I'm going to do is, because I took some of those red ribbons out, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna replace them with the same ribbon that I have right here. And for that, I have this beautiful bejeweled ribbon. And I'm going to do simple loops and very small ones. Remember, we're just trying to go for texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of my wires over on this side. And then I'm going to tie this ribbon. And I'm gonna add one right here on the front with him. And remember, just use that wire to secure it, and then we're going to dovetail. Like this. So we're going to do 3 of these loops. I'm going to adjust him. Let me see. I'm gonna add yet another stake right here. Perfect. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna repeat. I'm gonna do another loop over here. I'm gonna cut into dovetail. And then I'm going to pinch, go under, pinch, grab my wire, and I'm gonna add one right over here. So that way what happens on the left happens on the right. Remember, that is very important. So now we have all of these tails and these bows. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these poinsettias. They are oversized. I'm gonna cut them a little shorter. And I'm going to first go over on this side, and I'm going to put one right about here. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And then I'm gonna grab the other one. I'm gonna open it and fluff it. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. What goes up must come down, and so we repeat everything on one side. We go opposite direction, and then we'll repeat on the other side. And so I'm going to cut right here, giving it a curvature. And I'm going to add my other poinsettia back here. Look how cute that is. I mean, we have just a Santa and a few poinsettias, and it's already looking fabulous. But we're not gonna stop there, because we're going to add some of these picks. And remember, if you want to make 2 out of 1, all you have to do is cut at the joint. And I'm gonna do the same with this one right here. So I'm gonna do 2 picks instead of 1 long one. And then I'm going to start inserting these guys into my centerpiece. Let me see, where do I want the first one? I'm gonna put this one right about here, making sure that goes into my foam. And remember, what goes up must come down, so we have to always go one down, like this. And then immediately I'm going to spin around, and I'm going to go over on this side, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna put one right here, going up, and the other one going down. It is super simple, you guys. Oh my goodness, I just realized that I left an extra glittery ribbon. So I'm gonna take that out like this. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring some of these beautiful eucalyptus that we also use in all of our projects. And I'm gonna cut it shorter. And I'm gonna cut, because this is what's gonna give us a whole bunch of texture. So I'm gonna go through here, and I'm gonna add one right here. Remember, what goes up must come down, so make sure that you always do that. And then immediately move forward from this side over to this side. So I'm gonna grab another one of these guys, and I'm gonna cut it in half. And remember, go opposite corner. So now I'm gonna go over on this side, make sure that I insert until you can hear that foam, like that. And I'm gonna cut another one. So I'm gonna do a set of 3. Remember, we always try to work on sets of 3s, 2s, and 1s. And so for this particular one, I'm gonna create that triangle. So I have one right here, one right here. So now I have to decide whether I wanna go on this side or on this side. And I think for this particular one, I'm gonna go over on this side. And I'm gonna insert my beautiful eucalyptus right here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring a few more elements that I think this is going to benefit from, and I'll be right back with you. Keep watching. All right, I'm back, and I went ahead and grabbed some of these beautiful rose gold greenery as well. And so we're going to cut into 2. And this one has a really stiff wire, so you really don't have to. And remember, we did that eucalyptus over here. So now we're gonna move over to this side, and we're going to add some of this beautiful rose gold, and that's going to start to fill in this beautiful centerpiece. And I feel like you need some right here on the front as well. So I'm gonna cut one right here. And I'm going to go right here. This is gonna give us some color and texture. I'm gonna put one right here, and then another one over on this side. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? And I'm gonna cut one more because we already have it, so might as well. I'm always telling you guys, if you already have it, go ahead and add it, and don't add it on your stash of things to just save for next year, because this is the year. This is where I want you to use all of those beautiful things that you have. How absolutely cute, but this is not it, you guys. I have all of this magnolia foliage that we use in our project. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pull some of those magnolia foliages that we used on the wreath. And the same thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab just a little dab of glue right here, add a little bit of glue so it sticks to your greenery, and I'm gonna start inserting this right here. And that's gonna give us a lot more texture to our centerpiece, and it's gonna make it look absolutely gorgeous. So this is just a touch. It is just for texture, so be selective where you want it. Like right here, I also like to put foliages where my flowers are. In this case, the poinsettia is my flower, and so I just like to add a little bit of foliage right there. Look at that. And just keep spinning around until you are satisfied with your centerpiece. I'm going to glue a few more and I'll share with you the end result. Keep watching. And just like that, you have created yourself an absolutely gorgeous centerpiece to go with our vintage Vogue collection. You guys, this glam collection, it is so beautiful. As you guys can see, this salmon color with the champagne and the beautiful elements like this beautiful eucalyptus and the rose gold. It really does create a stunning collection for Christmas. And like I said, just remember that if you're going to do one color scheme, I really do recommend to do it throughout the house so that you two can have a cohesive look like this. All right, you guys, so for this DIY, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna share with you how to create a super simple and easy tabletop arrangements. For that, I selected this beautiful red container that is made out of mercury glass because it really goes with this snowy theme that I love so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some foam into my container, but then I kind of want to shave some of that corner and make it look more cohesive. This is also a floral tip and trick. We always shave the corners like this so it is even with the container, so that way it doesn't stick out too much. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab some of my flocked pieces and I'm gonna start right here. So I'm gonna start one going to my right. Remember, what happens on the right happens on the left. And then we're gonna give it a little bit of spin, and then I'm going to do the same thing by taking one step down. So that way it graduates going down like this, and I'm gonna repeat over on this side. You will see how easy it really is to make these arrangements, you guys. If you just follow all of these steps, you too can create beautiful floral arrangements. So now I give it another spin, and I went a step even further down. So you guys can see I have them all going the same way. I'm gonna do my right, and then I'm gonna do my left over here, like that. See how it's now a very step ladder motion going down? That's what we want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add this really beautiful balsam. I'm gonna put one right here, and remember to enter, when you enter your stem, don't put it flat like this, but go ahead and give it a spin like this. And so now I'm going to twist around, and what I'm doing with this is I am filling in all of those gaps that I have in between all of this pine. Now I'm gonna insert all of this balsam right here. And you guys, balsam is one of my favorite greeneries to decorate with during the holiday season because it smells so good. And actually one of my favorite candles is balsam greenery. I just love the smell. It's like when you go to Colorado and you just smell all of that freshness everywhere. So I'm gonna enter one right here. Look at this, look how gorgeous this already looks. What happens on the right happens on the left. So now I'm gonna give it a little bit of height with this beautiful frosted eucalyptus. I'm gonna go one right here. Immediately I'm going to go over to the other side right here, and look at the texture just created with this. It's so pretty. I absolutely love this greenery as well. Then remember to step ladder down one. Let me see if I can take this out. No, I can't. So I'm not even gonna try. So I'm gonna put this guy right here. I'm gonna make sure that goes all the way in like this. How cute is that, you guys? All right, so now I'm gonna add some of this beautiful foliage that is frosted, and I'm gonna just go ahead and put it around the perimeter, all around the perimeter, and that's what's gonna help us to start to cover all of that foam. If you guys have not seen the owl centerpiece that we did last week, I'm gonna link it down below. It was so cute. It had an owl, and I call those characters centerpieces because it has a character. All right, so now what I'm going to do is continue to add some white and trying to cover all of that foam with some of these berries. And notice how I'm twisting around my centerpiece because I want to have the same element all throughout my centerpiece. And this one right here, you have to push all the way down to the foam because that's what's gonna really start to cover that foam right here. Let me see, where do I need? I need one right about here. So good, look at that. Just like that, it could be a floral arrangement on your coffee table, right? Well, now I have all of these pine cones that I have left over from projects. We're gonna use those. So we're gonna stick those down. We're gonna go, what goes up must come down. Like this, we're gonna spin around. Continue adding some pine cones. I like the fact that they're a little flocked, like this. I'm gonna cut this one a little shorter. She's a long one. All right, so I'm gonna add this one right here and this right here. This can be done, you guys, with all of that leftover greenery that we have from past arrangements. So now this is where the fun comes, and I found this really pretty pick at Hobby Lobby, and look how easy it is to just take it apart. You just pull it. As one, you have 3 stems, and then I'm going to try and cut this one right here. So now for this one that is a red berry and it has a little bit of a snow, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a curvature, and I'm gonna try to put them right here on the perimeter. So that is going to tie in the container right here. You know, when I learned how to do floral arrangements, I was taught that if you are doing, when it comes down to containers, if you're doing a red container, then we have to add a red element to our bouquet. Whether it's a flower, a berry, a ribbon, sometimes, you know, if it is like a sympathy arrangement, you have to add a ribbon. Well, we add that ribbon, the color of the container, because you have to tie in that look. You don't want to have a red container and not have an element over here. And so for that, I chose the red container because I wanted to add these berries that I already had laying around. I said, you know what, let's go ahead and add those to my next arrangement because I absolutely love berries and I think they're so cheerful for the holiday season. Just make sure they do go on your foam because sometimes the foam gets tight. Look, you guys, how absolutely cute this is. So far, so good. So now the last step we're going to do, we're gonna grab a 20 gauge wire and we're gonna cut it in half. You guys have seen me do this trick. And then we're gonna cut those in half one more time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold them in half to create this kind of bobby pins. So what you're gonna do with this bobby pin is you're gonna go through an ornament right here, and then I'm gonna kind of cross it so it locks in. And so now I'm gonna use that, look at that, to insert into the stem. How fun is that? For this, I selected some silver and then some red ones. So basically just put that in there. You cross it like this and it gives you this stem. Well, now we're going to insert that stem into the foam, and that's going to lock our ornament in. Super simple, as you guys can see. It doesn't take very many elements. So basically just open right here and you drop your ornament. We're gonna do one more. Over on this side, we're gonna do another silver one. I'm gonna pick a shiny one, and then I'm gonna put my bobby pin, made up bobby pin, S-hook, and then I'm going to add right here onto my foam. All right, you guys, let me clean this real quick and I'll give you a really gorgeous close-up. Keep watching. And just like that, you get yourself a gorgeous tabletop arrangement for somewhere on your coffee table, an entryway table. This could also be done as a centerpiece. If you had multiples of them going down the table, it is super easy to make. It's nothing but a few flocked greeneries, and then also some berries and some pine cones and some ornaments. And you too can create a gorgeous and beautiful tabletop arrangement for your holiday celebration. What do you guys think? All right, you guys, well, that's all I have for today, and I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. I cannot wait to come back with even more Christmas decorating ideas and DIYs for this Christmas season. And I really hope that these beautiful Christmas centerpieces DIYs were of your liking. I cannot wait to read your comment, so be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know which out of the 5 Christmas centerpiece DIY ideas was your favorite. All right, you guys, well, if you enjoyed this video, remember there's going to be a playlist right here where you can continue to be inspired. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, and as always, you can watch more videos right now. Until next time, bye.